March 1940, the Admiralty, London. Britain's accountants were calculating survival time. Admiral Karl Donitz's U-boats were sinking 300,000 tons of merchant shipping monthly. The Royal Navy had 200 escort vessels for thousands of miles of convoy routes. The math was brutal. At destroyer production rates, 30 ships per year at 200,000 pounds each, Britain would run out of time before it ran out of money. Churchill's solution: holes in the water now. Britain built 266 corvettes for 20,000 pounds each, 1/10 the cost of a destroyer. They helped destroy 294 U-boats. This is how cheap ships won the Battle of the Atlantic, and the evidence is in the numbers. The U-boat crisis. By 1940, Britain was fighting a war it was slowly losing. Admiral Karl Donitz's U-boat fleet had perfected wolfpack tactics. Multiple submarines would surround convoys and attack from different directions simultaneously. A single destroyer could chase one U-boat while 5 others torpedoed defenseless merchant ships. The mathematics were brutal. Britain imported 55 million tons of supplies annually. Lose that Atlantic lifeline, and the nation would starve within months. The Royal Navy counted only 200 escort vessels to protect thousands of miles of convoy routes. German U-boats were sinking 300,000 tons of shipping monthly. The obvious solution sat in British naval yards: destroyers. Fast, powerful warships with 36 knot speed and heavy armament. But destroyers required 18 months to build and consumed enormous resources Britain didn't have. At current rates, British shipyards could deliver perhaps 30 destroyers annually. Meanwhile, merchant ships vanished daily. Winston Churchill put it bluntly: Britain needed hulls in the water now, not sophisticated vessels in 2 years. But if destroyers weren't the answer, what was? Why destroyers were not the solution? The destroyer problem ran deeper than simple production time. Destroyers were designed for fleet combat, not endless convoy escort. They existed to engage enemy surface ships and screen capital ships. Using them for convoy escort was like using a scalpel to dig ditches. Each destroyer consumed 200,000 pounds in 1940 currency, roughly 45 million pounds today. Construction required specialized naval yards with precision engineering and workers trained to exacting standards. Only 7 British facilities possessed these capabilities. Destroyers also had limited endurance for mid-Atlantic escort. High-speed capabilities meant enormous fuel consumption. They needed frequent resupply and couldn't stay with convoys throughout entire Atlantic crossings. And Britain needed destroyers elsewhere: fleet operations in the Mediterranean, screening battleships, engaging German surface raiders. Every destroyer assigned to convoy escort was one fewer for critical naval battles. The strategic calculus was devastating. Britain needed hundreds of escorts immediately. Destroyers arrived too slowly, cost too much, and were needed for missions only they could perform. A different question emerged: what if a ship only needed to hunt submarines and protect convoys? Birth of the corvette. In January 1939, the Admiralty approached William Reed at Smith's Dock Company with an unusual request: design a warship so simple that civilian shipyards could build it. Reed didn't design a warship. He modified a whaling vessel. His proposal was based on the Southern Pride, a commercial whale catcher built for Antarctic waters. Short, sturdy, and utterly unsexy. It used off-the-shelf steel, Victorian-era reciprocating engines, and techniques every coastal shipyard already knew. The result was the Flower-class corvette. 205 feet long, maximum speed 16 knots. Armament: 1 4-inch gun, depth charges, and basic ASDIC sonar. Compare that to a destroyer's sophisticated turbines, complex fire control, and precision components requiring specialized factories. A corvette required none of that. Its engine was essentially a scaled-up railway locomotive, sitting on warehouse shelves ready for installation. Any shipyard building fishing trawlers could construct corvettes within weeks. No specialized equipment, no lengthy training, just steel, rivets, and Victorian-era methods. By July 1940, contracts were placed for 58 corvettes. Smith's Dock eventually built 42, launching one every 17 days at peak production. Each corvette cost 20,000 pounds, 1/10 a destroyer's price. For one destroyer, Britain could deploy 10 corvettes. How corvettes fought U-boats. Flower-class corvettes weren't superior to U-boats tactically. At 16 knots maximum, they were slower than surfaced U-boats running at 17 knots. But that limitation revealed their true purpose. These vessels weren't designed to hunt submarines across empty ocean. They were designed to be everywhere U-boats operated. The tactical pattern became predictable. When a corvette detected a surfaced U-boat, it charged directly at the submarine. The U-boat commander faced an immediate choice: dive or be rammed. U-boats always dove. Once submerged, everything changed. U-boats crawled at 7 knots underwater, losing their speed advantage. The corvette would systematically quarter the area, pinging with ASDIC, forcing the submarine to remain submerged and burn battery power. Eventually, the U-boat surfaced into gunfire or stayed down until depth charges found it. But corvettes rarely worked alone. When convoys carried 8, 10, or 12 corvettes forming protective rings, wolf packs encountered escorts everywhere. Submarines kept getting forced underwater, breaking coordination. Many U-boats were sunk through combined actions. Corvettes pinned submarines down until destroyers or aircraft arrived. Victory came from sustained pressure, not firepower. Numbers changed the war. By May 1943, Western Approaches Command counted 187 corvettes in operational service versus 94 destroyers. That numerical density transformed convoy defense from desperate scrambling to systematic coverage. No convoys sailed unescorted after mid-1941. Most carried 8 or more escorts by 1943. The statistics tell the story. Flower-class corvettes participated in actions destroying 47 U-boats through solo kills and contributed to 247 more in combined actions. No other Allied warship class came close during the Battle of the Atlantic. Corvettes spent more days at sea than any other vessel class, averaging 240 days annually versus 180 for destroyers. Their simple engines required less maintenance. They stayed with convoys longer, providing continuous protection. Monthly merchant losses peaked at 768,000 tons in November 1942. By May 1943, losses collapsed to 264,000 tons, while U-boat sinkings spiked to 41 that month. On May 24, 1943, Dönitz withdrew his wolf packs, admitting he could no longer sustain losses. The cheap corvettes had won through saturation. Britain could replace corvettes faster than U-boats could sink them. Limits and sacrifices. Life aboard corvettes was miserable. The vessels rolled violently in any sea state above flat calm. Their short, round hulls made them seaworthy but prone to rolling 40 degrees in moderate swells. Crews spent days perpetually seasick. Living spaces accommodated 85 men in compartments designed for 47. When Atlantic swells exceeded 15 feet, seawater poured through ventilation shafts. Clothing never dried. Mold grew on everything. The vessels lacked proper heating. Men stood 4-hour watches in near-freezing temperatures. Frostbite was routine. Saltwater boils from wet uniforms rubbing skin were common. Corvettes were slow and lightly armed. Their 16-knot maximum speed meant they couldn't catch surfaced U-boats. Their single 4-inch gun was inadequate for surface combat. Between 1940 and 1945, 36 Flower-class corvettes were lost to enemy action, taking an average of 65 crew members with each sinking. These weren't perfect ships. They weren't even good ships by traditional naval standards. But they were effective ships. And in 1940, that was all that mattered. What they really proved. The Flower-class corvette represented a philosophical revolution in naval warfare. For centuries, British doctrine emphasized individual ship superiority, build better vessels than the enemy, win through quality. The corvette embraced opposite thinking, build adequate vessels in overwhelming numbers, win through saturation, not sophistication. Britain spent approximately £5.3 million on 266 Flower-class corvettes, roughly 2.8% of total wartime naval expenditure. Those vessels helped protect the Atlantic lifeline long enough for American industrial might to tip the balance. A destroyer-based escort strategy would have required roughly 3,000 destroyer deployments, costing £600 million. That would have bankrupted Britain while protecting a single maritime corridor. The corvette program saved £590 million, Those savings funded Operation Overlord, the Mediterranean campaign, and strategic bombing operations. By choosing adequate ships over perfect ships, Britain retained capacity to fight on multiple fronts. Corvettes didn't win by being better ships. They won by being the right ships: cheap, simple, numerous, specialized. In the Battle of the Atlantic, victory didn't belong to the strongest ship. It belonged to the ship that could be everywhere. The Flower-class corvette never appeared on propaganda posters. No admiral built a career commanding them. History remembers the battleships and carriers, the dramatic surface actions and carrier strikes. But without these unglamorous little ships, Britain doesn't survive 1941. Without them, there's no D-Day, no liberation of Europe, no Allied victory. Sometimes the weapons that change history aren't the most powerful ones. They're the ones that show up when it matters most. If you found this story fascinating, hit that subscribe button. We explore the weapons, tactics, and decisions that actually shaped history, not just the ones that looked impressive. Next time, we'll examine another weapon that succeeded by breaking all the rules. Thanks for watching.